Darling, I think you're a little nuts, but I love you.
Oh.
May I escort you to your room?
Oh, thank you.
If there's anything you want, just ring. Good night, madame.
Henry.
What?
Nothing.
Good night.
Good night, Throckmorton.
That's done it. I go to my room.
Good night. Henry. Darling.
I've got the report.
Go right in. The chemist is here.
Well, Mr. Rogers,
Yes?
I made the analysis.
Yes.
There's no doubt about it. It's an extremely high-grade oil.
High-grade oil, eh?
Yes, Mr. Rogers, and it's practically free from impurities, except for a slight chemical, which we are unable to identify at the moment.
What do you think this chemical is?
Well, it's a positive. We don't know what it is. I know it may sound silly, but it greatly resembles ink.
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 Oh. Yes. Thank you, McIlvaine. Sorry to get you out of bed in the middle of the night like this.
Oh, that's all right, Mr. Rogers. All hours, day and night, are the same to a man with aggressive ambition.
Definitely, because, young man, why, that's from my course. That's lesson number 5.
Yes, sir. I took your course, Mr. Rogers.
Did you really?
Look.
Why, you're an honor roll man. Give me the honor roll grip. I have never yet met an honor roll man who was a failure. I tell you, this man is a thief. How much did he give you for the property? A measly $100,000. Why, that's buttons, that's peanuts. That property is worth 4, 5, 6, 10 times that amount. And I want you, each and every one of you, to remember that the moment I laid my eyes on him, I said, there is a man to watch.
Then you think we should get more money?
I'm going to insist that you do.
Fine, then I can buy an inverted pizza.
Now, Mr. Pemberton, you have got to get into action at once. We have got to have the entire family gathered here for a conference. Call them.
But I don't think
Go
that...
on.
Well,
Here's the telephone.
no. Well, I really don't think that
Be decisive, man. Be decisive.
Will you, please?
I'll get the automobile.
All right. Look.
They must have stayed in the barn all night. No one must know of this. In my day, girls were more careful of their reputations.
But why do you suppose they stayed there?
Pity. Please. The subject is closed.
But I don't understand.
Pity.
Oh, so that's it.
Want me to go along and tell the family with you?
No, you go get your clothes pressed in a clean shirt and come back. I want you to look wonderful.
Fine.
And get a haircut. Oh, and have them cut it a little higher in the back.
Bye.
Bye. No, it's not true. He's not a crook.
Oh, Tony, you've practically called Mr. Rogers a liar. I mean, after all, he says this crazy young fellow is a crook, and you as much as say he's lying.
Not as much as I do say he's lying. Henry's a nice young man trying to keep his job so he can support his poor old mother.
Oh, yes? Supporting his poor old mother by cheating you out of your property.
How do you mean cheating us? I think $100,000 is a wonderful price.
Oh, you do you?
Yes, I do I? Especially since we really don't need it.
Well, I'll pay $125,000 for the property. Now, do you still think $100,000 is such a wonderful price?
But I don't understand what...
Suppose I tell you this poor, struggling young man is really from a very wealthy family.
I won't believe it.
Supposing I tell you that this poor old mother, as you call her, is at the moment on a cruise in the Mediterranean with a maid, a companion, and 2 Pekingese dogs.
I won't believe it.
Supposing I tell you that this poor young man has a sailboat in which he won the last Bermuda race.
I won't believe it.
Of course, poor young men always go in for yachts. Of course, poor young men always live in 14-room duplex apartments on Park Avenue, surrounded by a flock of servants.
It's not true. I'll have him come over and twist your arm the way you do mine.
He won't come over here. He's got your property. That's all he wants from you. But go ahead. Call him up and get him over here, and we'll see who twists whose arm.
If he comes over, maybe you can kick him for me.
I will, with pleasure.
I'll get him right away. Oh, I don't know his number. I don't even know where he lives.
I do, the Park Lane Apartments. And I'll get him for you. Operator? Get me the Park Lane Apartments, will you please? That's right. And get me Mr. McMorrow's apartment. Of course, poor starving young men always live in the penthouse at the Park Lane. Mr. McMorrow's apartment? Just a moment. There you are.
This is Tony Pemberton. I want Mr. McMorrow to come over and see me right away. Yes, please. Wait a minute. Who is this speaking? His valet, yes. A valet.
Now, perhaps you'll believe me.
He's got a valet.
Oh, don't you see? He's just been lying to you all the time, trying to play on your sympathies, trying to get you to help him cheat your family. And he would have succeeded if it hadn't been for me.
Oh.
A young lady just telephoned you, sir.
Tell her I'm out.
I didn't have a chance to tell her anything, sir. She did the telling.
I'm out to her and to all the other young ladies. Edmund, I've met a girl, a wonderful girl.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. And remember, from now on, I talk to only one young lady, Miss Tony Pemberton.
It was she who called, sir.
What? Why didn't you say so? What does she say? What does she want?
She seemed very upset, sir, and wants you to come over right away.
Oh.
Just a moment, sir. Just a moment. You must have your coat, sir.
Oh, yes. Almost forgot.
Don't you want your briefcase, sir?
No. Yes.
I feel like a man in a straitjacket. No freedom. I'll be glad when this is over so I can go back to a decent way of living. Now, there's something typical of this modern nonsense. Will someone tell me what on earth these idiotic things were put there for?
Buttons on a coat sleeves originated with Marquis d'Avacoeur in 1685, when he put large metal buttons on the sleeves of his guardsmen's uniforms to keep them from wiping their noses on them, of course.
Junior, don't be indelicate.
Tony, what's the matter?
You've got a valet.
Well,
Ivor, don't stall. Don't evade the issue. Speak up.
Yes, speak up.
Oh, Henry, there must be some mistake. Please tell me you haven't got a valet.
Of course I've got a valet.
Ah, you see? You see? I'll handle this. Let me tell you, you crook, we'll fight this to the Supreme Court.
You'll fight what to the Supreme Court?
Quiet. Don't pretend innocence. You've robbed these people.
What?
Stolen their poor grandpa's farm for a miserable $100,000.
I didn't steal anything. $100,000 is a good price.
Yes,
Quiet. Now you're going to tell us you didn't know there was oil on the property.
Oil? Well, you don't know what you're talking about. There isn't oil within 1,000 miles of Westchester.
Is that so?
I don't know what he's trying to get at, but I can assure you that $100,000 is a very fair figure for the property.
Yes, Henry.
Quiet. Let me tell you, young man, that I stand ready to pay $125,000 for this property at this very moment.
You will?
Certainly.
Oh, Henry, why did you do it? I thought we were going to be so happy. Now we can't be because I couldn't marry a crook. What would the neighbors think with policemen running in and out all the time?
You think I'm a crook?
Well, you've got a valet.
Well, does that mean I'm a crook?
No, but you lied to me. You told me you were a struggling young man with a poor old mother. And she's in the middle of the Mediterranean on a Pomeranian with 2 yachts. I mean, well, anyway, you lied to me.
Okay, have it your way. But if he's willing to pay $125,000 for the property, I suggest that you sell it to him. Have him make out a check, and I'll turn over my powers of attorney.
Oh, going to try the other tack now, are you?
Yeah.
It's no use, my boy. Your bluff is called.
All right. Goodbye. And I'm glad to have met you all.
Are you sure it wasn't on the Normandy?
Now, it's going to be all right. Relax, darling.
And there you are.
Let's take it to the bank at once.
Yes, it's the merchants. Why, don't you trust me?
Yes, but an overly aggressive exterior such as yours sometimes conceals and compensates for an indecisive characteristic. You might change your mind and stop payment on the check.
Oh, fiddlefish.
Papa wouldn't let me go to the bank. You look as if you needed about 5 grains of acid acetyl salicylic.
What's that?
Aspirin.